Hey guys, guess who's back for another Civ 5 mod review? This is going to be a special two-part mod review. And the first part is going to be focused on a mod called Heroes of Might and Wisdom. So, Heroes of Might and Wisdom is a very interesting mod. You can use it with other mods, so I'm currently using it with all my other base game enhancing mods, which I made a video on. As you can see, there is coffee here as a resource, which is not in the base game. That is a mod. But our focus is going to be on this Heroes of Might and Wisdom for part 1, which can be used with any other mod. Now, this looks like a pretty generic thing. You got your scout, you can move it around, all that good stuff. Settle your city. When you settle your city, you get this thing that comes up and talks about these hero units. And that is the purpose of this mod. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through and explain all of this and go and look through all these things. But I'm going to try to give you a rundown of what these hero units are. As you can see here, there's a button that has this sword wing thing going on. And you click on it, and it brings up this page for heroes. Now, every race starts with 3 heroes to choose from. A magician, a ranger, and a martialist. As you can only start with one, and you get an additional hero, or I should say you get to pick another hero every time you enter a new era. So classical era would be 2, medieval 3, so on and so forth. Obviously there's only 3 here, so by the time you get to the end you're going to need more, but every World Wonder gives you a new type of hero that you can use. Now, every race has unique heroes. For us, I'm playing China, so we have Zhuge Liang for our magician, Hua Mulan for our ranger, which is actually a historical character, not just the Disney person, and Liv Bu, who's actually supposed to be named Lu Bu, but typo on the creator's part. So we're going to kind of go left to right here. So obviously, what their type is, their picture. Right here is their unique ability. Unique abilities are sorted into 4 categories based on rarity. There is white, which is normal, blue, which is considered magic, a golden color like this, which is considered unique, and then purple like this, which is considered legendary. Whenever you start a game, the trait, as it's called, will always, almost always be different. Sometimes you'll have like this, you'll have just a white color, sometimes you'll have gold, sometimes you'll even have a legendary one. There are exceptions to this rule. Lu Bu here, for example, always has the Flying General trait. That is his trademark. And we will get into exactly what that does later. To our next right, we have stat modifiers, which are Might and Wisdom. What Might and Wisdom are, they're different stats, and what they essentially do is they play into the skills that are used by these unique units. Because all these unique units really are overpowered basic units. Like Zhuge Liang is an archer, you got Lu Bu as a warrior, so on and so forth. So this is just a stat that is used when using their unique skills that they have. And I'll get into that later in the video. Obviously, we got this guy up here who's got quite a bit of wisdom, but that's because of this special thing he has. To the next right, we have the weapons that our hero comes with and the weapons available to him, the items and artifacts, I should say. Axe, sword, boots, mace. It's different depending on whatever class your hero is, but your very first hero always starts with boots, always starts with 2 weapons as well, and as you travel around you can find more. So I'm going to pick Lu Bu because I like having Lu Bu. He has a really overpowered ability. So we're going to hire him, and you're going to hear that kind of creep-tastic voice, and this little thing pops up here. Basically, it's just a button you can click to go to your hero, and when you get to your hero, you see all these weird contraptions and thingy-merbobs. I swear it's not as complicated as it looks. So let's go over the tooltip. Talents of the 7 pillars. Now, when your hero levels or gets promoted, he doesn't actually get promoted. He gets levels. Whenever he hits a level, you get to go to this button here, and as you see right now he's level 1, and as we play through it will upgrade. Each level, you get to pick amongst all this crap right here. So because he's a martialist, you can see his name is Orange, so his starting skill is Might. So whenever he gets a level, he can either increase his primary stat, pick a secondary stat that corresponds with a primary stat, or get new primary stats. So essentially the way to think about this is when you level, you can only move in, you can only get the next highest one, a skill above and below it, or something on the secondary page that corresponds with something you already have. But we will get into more detail on that later. As you can see here, we do have Prayer and Scouting unlocked, which are two of the secondary skills. That is just from his special ability here, Flying General. It basically gives him the basic scouting promotions as well as 3 really good promotions. So, as I said, there are 7 stats here. Each stat kind of corresponds with a particular class, just a starting point, but you can expand beyond that as much as you want. And we'll kind of get into more what they do when I start playing and leveling, but that's what that button does. This next button is the Upgrade Hero button. Basically what this lets you do is, as obviously you tech throughout the game and get new units, this lets you upgrade your unit to a higher level, because even though they are overpowered and have abilities of sorts, their combat strength is solely based on whatever unit they start as. For example, he is a warrior, so he still has the health and the regular combat strength of a warrior. But when I get a swordsman, I can upgrade him to a swordsman and increase that combat strength. Now obviously, this says 0 gold. Your first promotion on all your heroes is free, and then it gets a little more intense from there. So that is something to keep in mind. You can only upgrade to a different unit in your home base, I should say. So we're going to get out of that. Then there's the Artifact Shop, where basically you can spend gold to buy the items that correspond to your character. Obviously, we already have a normal axe, boot, and sword, so we would have to buy the magic version. The tiers of the weapons go in correspondence with the tiers of the abilities. There's magic, there's unique, and then there's legendary. And each weapon/item gives you a different skill or ability. Now let's get to that part. Skill abilities. You have this thing here, which has skills, spells, auras, and adventure. These are all based on whatever items you're wearing. I have on me a sword, an axe, and boots, so I have Whirlwind, Charge, and Town Portal. Basically, these simply correspond to some damage dealing. It's just extra damage you can deal. Charge, damage plus 15%. If you have an axe, it attacks a nearby enemy unit, dealing 25 to 30 basic damage and half splash damage to its adjacent enemy unit. Deal 3 more damage for each point of might difference. And that is where those might and wisdom things come into play. Same with Whirlwind, it's based on might. Spells are based on that wisdom factor. Auras are kind of different, they're more of a ranger thing. And adventure is just kind of quick mobility. So as you can see here, we have Lu Bu. He did come with 3 free promotions, the scouting ones obviously, and he can pick whatever he wants. Any hero can choose whatever benefit they want from discovering ancient ruins. But his 3 promotions were Woodsman, double movement rate through forest and jungle. Combat bonus against damaged enemy units is higher. And he has an extra movement point. So we're going to start exploring around with our hero. Kind of take all that crap I just said that makes no sense and put it into action. What I do here is really not relevant to the game. We're just working on this hero thing right now. So I'm just going to play it sort of like I normally would. We're only going to go to turn like 50. By the way, this button right here brings you back up to that hero page. So I'm going to let this turn progress.
Oh no.
And they do make strange voice noises every time. Alright, so we found a barbarian camp. I like it. So we're going to run over here. And in ancient ruins. Double whammy. So, I'm just gonna have my scouts explore, and we have another ancient ruins. Holy Bojangles.
Bring it on.
Alright, so I'm gonna maneuver around to this ancient ruin, just so you can see. He does get that choose ancient ruins bonus. Now, heroes, because they're heroes, they can search for artifacts among the ruins. Artifacts are those weapons that give you abilities. I'm actually just going to get the artifact just to show you. So I ended up getting a cloak. So the cloak gives me, and you can't see it, but I'll show you it next turn. I'm going to grab this. I am playing with a mod that gives all my units the ability to choose from ancient ruins. So that's why I can do that with the scout. But in general, all heroes can pick what they want from ancient ruins. So now we wait for the turn to progress. And now you see we have a new ability here, Blink. Hiding in a magic cloak, you teleport to nearby tiles. So every item corresponds to a new ability. So now we're going to start waging war against these barbarians. As you can see, the bonus you get really isn't any different from what you would get normally. The nice thing about hero units, though, is that they can attack as many times as they move. At least this guy can, so you know he's got 4 attacks, or 4 movements, so he can attack 4 times. Using skills does not have an animation, but every skill does have a cooldown, so as you can see there is a 6 there, so I will not be able to use that ability for 6 more turns, but that's okay. We're going to use Whirlwind as well, and then we're going to attack normally. And take the ruins. Now, another thing to note, when a hero takes the ruin, they do get an item every time. And it's either an upgrade of something you already have, or a new thing. So I got an upgrade to my sword. It is a magic sword. Don't know what it gives me. I will check on my next turn. But I almost always recommend taking barb encampments with your hero unit. Because if you do it throughout the entirety of the early game really well, you will get extremely powerful. And our unit did level. So what we're going to do, you can see the talents of the 7 pillars is flashing. And now we have flashing things. So I have choices here. I can either continue to progress in might, which by itself simply increases my might stat by 1 point for each tier. Or I can go to savagery or courage. I can't pick anything below that because in order to pick a new primary skill, I have to have a primary skill adjacent to it. So I have might, that's why I can pick courage or savage. I can also pick the first secondary skill in the might tree because I have the first primary skill in the might tree. So that is how that all corresponds. You can either pick the next tier up, a tier next to it, or a skill next to the one you have, or the secondary skill that corresponds with that primary skill. I'm going to go for savagery because when you kill an enemy unit with skills, you have a 20% chance to gain a normal artifact, and as you go up it goes to magic and legendary. So it can make your guy even more powerful. So we're just going to work our way up the savage tree for now. And as you can see, it does say he is level 2 now. So we are going to keep exploring with him. I'm actually going to have him heal up. So, going to keep moving along. Obviously, we meet people along the way. As I said, my main focus isn't on the main stuff here. I just kind of want to make sure I give a general overview of everything a hero can do. I'm going to grab the gold. I normally wouldn't, but I want to show you how the artifact shop works with the hero. So I'm going to need a little more gold. Don't really want this guy to die, though it really doesn't matter. When a hero dies in this game, you can rehire them. So it's not like they do lose some experience, and it does cost money to rehire them. But good to see you too, and you. But it's not it's a minuscule amount. As you can see, all the AI have heroes here as well. But Lu Bu is overpowered. We all know that, so get on my level.
Oh no.
So I'll demonstrate this adventure ability just to show you. Click, boom, I move 2 spaces and I only waste 1 movement speed. So now we're going to go up to this Barb encampment. See that nice jade resource there? That's a part of another mod I have. Just going to keep exploring with my scout and doing things like I normally would. As I said, the focus of my game is not on basic Civ gameplay. It is on this hero unit we have here. Just so you can kind of get a basic idea how everything runs. Because I talked a lot in the beginning of my game, and it really doesn't help unless I show you it. So 1 cooldown on each of these, but I can attack 4 times. So I'm going to charge in here. The one thing I do want to know, the one kind of dilemma I have with this game, or at least this mod I mean, is the aesthetics, because that doesn't look like Lu Bu at all. That's just an oversized Chinese warrior. It is kind of different because I have the RED mod pack, but let's be real here, that just looks like a giant Chinese warrior. And that is my biggest problem with this part 2 video I'm going to show you, because the mod from part 2 is actually what made me find this mod. But there was one big flaw with part 2, and it played into the aesthetics a lot. So we're going to go get back to our hero guy. Maybe I'll just have him get killed so I can show you that he really doesn't die. Going to continue attacking with skills. As you can see, because of my Savage perk, I got a minor healing potion. You do get consumables in the game. Most of them are either HP or experience, but I click it and look at that. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my Barbarian encampment, get a normal ring, and then I get to level up again. So I would go for my advanced savagery, but to get it I have to get my might first. So I'm going to have to zigzag it up here, because it tells you the prerequisites in order to get different things. I personally kind of like the Magician a lot, because they come with Lightning Bolt, and Lightning Bolt knocks enemies out of camps, so you can knock them out and take the camp easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Our auras have popped up now, but I'll show you what those do next turn. For now, we're simply going to do things like I kind of sort of normally would. And then next turn I'll show you the next part of our hero unit. Alright, so as you can see, we have auras here. Auras work a little differently than skills and spells do. Obviously, skills and spells have different abilities and deal damage based on your might and or wisdom. But auras are things that simply, they have cooldowns and they increase your basic stats. Meditation lowers your might and raises your wisdom. Blood Rage is vice versa. And Haste lowers them both but gives you 2 extra movement. So we're going to click Haste. I get this nice green border around my guy's picture. And obviously I can move a lot farther than I would be able to if I had not activated it. I know that was still only 4 spots, but I crossed a river. Give me some slack. And those auras do only last for 1 turn. I'm not going to get into detail on what every single skill does, but I want you to kind of have a decent understanding of what's going on. So, like I said, you should always kind of have your hero unit out farming barb encampments so they can get the artifacts they need. Taking cities with your hero units does not give you any form of weaponry simply by itself. So don't think going to war early will help you there. However, hero units are especially good at taking cities just because of how all their abilities, especially since you can change them in the middle of a battle. As long as you're in your territory, you can make a long swordsman into like a crossbowman, and suddenly you have a ranged guy. So we're gonna keep traveling here. Due to the buff I got from the beginning of the game, I do travel through jungle and woods extremely fast. Hello, Poland. I really just want to show you guys the main stuff here. I mean, we really have covered most of the basics, but I think there will be another thing I'll be able to show you here in a second. Maybe not with actually, I can do it with calendar. So I didn't mean to do that. Gonna get this and that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick my next research, randomly writing. So we're going to go into the city menu, and I'm going to show you this. If we go down to the Wonder section, obviously Stonehenge is there, and it gives its usual thing. But you see at the bottom it says Unlock Sorcerer Merlin. So another good thing to note is every Wonder has an Unlock Sorcerer thing. Every World Wonder, I should say, every one-of-a-kind Wonder gives you a Sorcerer Merlin. And if we go into the tech tree, obviously, like the Great Library, unlocks Magician Aristotle. Now, obviously, there are all these different classes, and obviously, all these classes correspond to a skill. Martialist, being orange, corresponds with might. There is Berserker, Paladin for courage, Ranger for agility, Ninja for endurance, Magician for wisdom, and Sorcerer for sorcery. And it obviously marks their starting skill and all that good stuff. Now, there is a swap items feature. It hasn't been made yet, so don't get too excited. And I do think it does give you a list of all the things, not all the things, but all the buildings that correspond to certain guys, like Aristotle with the Great Library. Jake Sully from Avatar comes with the International Space Station. That's Opizzle. Perseus comes from the statue of Zeus. Khufu comes from the pyramids. Athena comes from Parthenon. Obviously, you can just go through this list if you really, really want to. I haven't actually figured out what this number here is quite yet. But it does let you know ahead of time, so if you want a particular guy, you can at least check if he has decent, you know, if he spawned this game with a decent trait. So, I think that's basically the generic part of this game. Obviously, the artifact shop, we can't buy anything yet, I don't have enough money, but if I did, you could buy it, it'd come in, and we'd have new skills. And hero units just last throughout the entire game. It's a different mechanic. It's really, really neat. I give this mod a really high rating. The only thing, as I said, I don't like is the aesthetics of the characters themselves. But, you know, you can only do so much. So I'm going to jump right into part 2 after this. So I'll see you in that video. And we will go over something quite interesting that has to do with this mod and a very, very well-known game series that I think you will all appreciate watching. So I will see you there.